The myth-busting reveal. For 5,000 years, the faces of the Indus Valley Civilization have remained a total mystery, hidden behind crumbling brick and speculative art. But today, we are using mitochondrial DNA extracted from a high-status burial to end the guesswork. Watch as we replace theory with biological reality to reveal the definitive portrait of a Harappan queen. For decades, archaeologists could only guess. Who was she? A ruler? A priestess? Or something even more significant? Her identity, lost. Her face, erased by time. Until now, because today, science has crossed a boundary once thought impossible. Using cutting-edge DNA reconstruction, scientists have done what no one has ever done before. They have brought her face back to life. Every contour, every feature. Rebuilt from genetic code buried for millennia. A woman who once walked the streets of a vast and advanced civilization, now looking back at us, eye to eye. But what did her face reveal? And more importantly, what does it tell us about the true origins of one of the world's oldest civilizations? The story begins over a century ago, in the vast plains of what is now modern-day Pakistan and northwest India. It was the early 1920s when archaeologists uncovered something that would shake the foundations of ancient history. The cities of Harappa and Mohenjo-daro emerged from the earth, revealing a civilization unlike any other. Perfectly planned streets, advanced drainage systems, standardized bricks, a society that thrived around 2600 BCE, at the same time as ancient Egypt and Mesopotamia. And yet, despite its scale and sophistication, the Indus Valley Civilization left behind no readable texts, no kings, no recorded battles. Just silence, a civilization of over 5 million people, and not a single deciphered word to tell their story. Among thousands of artifacts, one discovery stood out. A burial site. Unusual. Carefully arranged. The remains of a woman, positioned with intention. Not ordinary, not random. Something about this grave suggested importance. Status. Perhaps even power. But without written records, everything remained speculation. Who was she really? And why was she buried differently from other 4 decades? The mystery only deepened. Because the more scientists uncovered about the Indus Valley, the less they seemed to understand. And now, one question rises above all others. Could this single skeleton hold the key to revealing the true face and identity of an entire lost civilization? It was deep beneath layers of compacted earth, in a silent excavation trench, that the first real clue emerged. The year was decades after the initial discoveries. Technology had advanced, methods had changed, and archaeologists returned to the site with new questions and sharper tools. Carefully, brush by brush, they uncovered the fragile remains of the woman. Her bones were incomplete. Time had taken its toll, but her skull, though damaged, remained partially intact. That was enough. Enough to spark a new kind of investigation. At first it seemed like any other burial, but then subtle details began to stand out. The positioning of the body, the absence of typical grave goods, and most intriguingly, the condition of the bones suggested she lived a life different from the average citizen. No signs of heavy labor, no evidence of malnutrition. This was not a common individual. Samples were taken, tiny fragments, preserved with extreme caution, because within those microscopic traces lay something extraordinary: ancient DNA. Genetic material that had survived over 5,000 years, waiting to be read. But extracting DNA from remains this old is a race against time. and contamination. One mistake, and the data is lost forever. Scientists knew the risks. They also knew the potential. Because if successful, this wouldn't just be another archaeological find. This could become a direct biological link to a civilization that has remained silent for millennia. And so, the investigation began, not in the field, but inside high-tech laboratories, where the past would be decoded, one molecule at a time. Inside sterile laboratories, far from the dust of ancient ruins, the real battle began. Scientists in full protective gear worked in controlled environments, where even a single modern DNA strand could destroy the integrity of the results. The stakes were immense. They weren't just studying bones, they were attempting to extract a voice from the distant past. The process was slow, painstaking. Fragments of DNA, broken and degraded by thousands of years, had to be carefully isolated. Each sequence, incomplete. Each strand, a puzzle. Advanced sequencing technologies were deployed. Algorithms reconstructed missing pieces. Patterns began to emerge from the genetic chaos. But there were obstacles, contamination threats, gaps in the genome, and a deeper challenge. The Indus Valley Civilization has no direct written descendants, no clear genetic map to compare against. Scientists were navigating in near total darkness. Still, they pushed forward, cross-referencing ancient genomes from surrounding regions, comparing markers, searching for anything that could anchor this woman in time and place. Slowly, a profile began to form. Not just ancestry, but physical traits. Skin tone, eye structure, bone density. Then came the breakthrough moment. The data reached a threshold. Enough information to attempt something never done before with this civilization. They were ready to move beyond analysis and into reconstruction. The moment had arrived. Years of excavation, months of genetic decoding, all leading to a single, unprecedented step. Scientists were no longer just analyzing the past. They were about to rebuild it. Using advanced forensic techniques, the fragmented DNA was translated into biological instructions. Markers linked to facial structure were isolated. Cheekbone density, jaw alignment, nasal shape, even subtle indicators of soft tissue thickness. It was no longer guesswork. It was science, precise, calculated, and astonishingly accurate. Powerful software transformed genetic data into a three-dimensional model. Layer by layer, muscle, skin, and features began to take shape. What once was a broken skull now became a living face, a human presence emerging from 5,000 years of silence. And then, the reveal. A woman with strong, defined features, balanced proportions, skin tone reflecting ancient South Asian ancestry, eyes deep-set, carrying a quiet intensity. This was not a generic reconstruction. This was her, an individual who once lived, breathed, and walked among one of the world's earliest civilizations. But the true shock came from what her DNA revealed beyond her face. Genetic markers connected her to populations that predated large-scale migrations into the region. This challenged long-standing theories about the origins of the Indus Valley people. She wasn't just a face from the past. She was evidence that the story we thought we knew might be incomplete. Now, for the first time, we can begin to reconstruct her world, not as fragments of pottery or silent ruins, but as a living, breathing reality. Imagine the streets of an Indus Valley city at its peak. Wide avenues, carefully engineered drainage systems flowing beneath your feet. The air filled with movement, traders, artisans, voices echoing between mud brick walls under a burning sun. She walks among them, not as an ordinary citizen, but as someone set apart. Her posture, confident. Her presence, noticed. The absence of physical strain in her bones suggests a life shielded from labor, a position of status, perhaps leadership, perhaps ritual importance, a figure woven into the social fabric at its highest level. Inside structured buildings, decisions are made. Trade routes stretch across vast distances, connecting this civilization to Mesopotamia and beyond. Goods move, ideas spread, and at the center of it all, people like her shape the direction of a society far more complex than once believed. But something happened. Around 1900 BCE, the system began to fracture. Cities were abandoned. Infrastructure failed. Climate shifts. River changes. Or something still unknown. The civilization didn't explode into collapse. It slowly faded, dispersed, absorbed into the future. And she, like millions of others, became part of that silence. Until now. Because through her reconstructed face, we are no longer looking at ruins. We are witnessing a moment, frozen in time. Just before one of history's greatest disappearances, what began as a silent skeleton buried beneath layers of earth has now become something far greater. A face, a presence, a connection across 5,000 years. Through science, technology, and relentless curiosity, the unknown woman of the Indus Valley is no longer just a mystery. She is a witness. Her reconstructed face does more than show us what she looked like. It forces us to confront a deeper truth, that entire civilizations can rise, flourish, and vanish, leaving behind almost no voice. And yet, hidden within their remains, are stories waiting to be told. Stories written not in ink, but in DNA. This discovery reshapes how we understand the origins of one of humanity's earliest urban societies. It challenges assumptions, it opens new questions, and it reminds us that history is far from complete. There are still secrets buried beneath our feet, waiting for the moment when science is ready to reveal them. But this is just the beginning. How many more faces are still hidden in the past? How many stories remain locked inside ancient genomes? If this journey into the deep past fascinated you, make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and explore more mysteries that challenge everything we think we know. Because the past is not gone, it's just waiting to be discovered.